Hiya! Are you frustrated and unhappy in your job or career? Are you thinking about making a change, but you are worried that you may do something wrong, or even jump back into another frying pan? Making a career switch is said to be the toughest thing to do in our career, but actually, the biggest challenge is to put in the effort to get the career we want. Once you know what to look out for, it can become your greatest career weapon. Having immense career confidence to do what you want. This is what this workshop is all about, giving you the confidence to make a successful career switch.
Excellent. Welcome to today's workshop on developing a career switching strategy. Well, the fact that you are here basically means you are either thinking of making a change, right? But you're not sure what you're going to change, what career you're going to change into, or how you're going to go about it. Do you know that many people have said that making a career switch, a career change is actually one of the most difficult things to do? But I like to differ on this topic. Okay? To me, it is not about the difficulty. It is about how much effort you want to put in. Because making a switch, a career switch, takes a lot of effort. Okay? But the thing here is this: once you know what to do, it's actually not that difficult, right? And it becomes such an important weapon for you as your career progresses, because then you have the confidence to do the things that you really want to do. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about this afternoon. Okay, my name is Ewan. I'll be your facilitator for the next couple of hours. Right? For those of you who have not been with my workshops before, I'm a practicing career coach. I run my own coaching and training business since over almost 8 years now. Okay, I conduct workshops like this, right, as well as other topics such as what you see popping up here for WSG. Those of you who are interested in attending any of my future workshops, later on towards the end, I'll tell you how you can do that. All right. Now, apart from doing workshops like this, I also train other people to become career coaches. Okay, so that's one of the things that I do. But I really specialize when I help job seekers like yourselves or people who are worried about their careers, right? One of the key things that people come to me for is really this topic of making career switch. And in fact, I specialize in this. Most of my clients are in fact people who are wanting to make a switch from one career to the next. Okay. Now, when I talk to my clients, when they come to me and ask about how to make a career switch, typically there are three stages. There are three things that they may be involved in one of these. Okay, they're unsure whether they really want to make a change. Okay, once they decided to change, they don't know what they want to do. Okay, or maybe they say, I don't know how to go about doing it. Okay, so you are probably in any of these categories. So I need to find out from you which stage of the career switching process you are in right now. So I'm going to get you to help me fill up a little poll, all right? And this poll is really telling me what areas I should emphasize more on depending on your profile and your needs. So I'm going to launch this poll, all right? Okay, so let me end this poll now. I think the results won't change too much. So typically right now, if I look at it, okay, so you can see the results on the screen, so I won't need to share the results with you. So most of you are unemployed, okay, and majority of you have decided to change but not sure what to change into, although the other two categories are also quite significant, right? And most of you are above 40. All right, good. Thank you so much. All right, so I'm gonna sort of make sure that whatever I address over the next couple of hours would meet that profile, those things that you have mentioned to me. All right. Now, before I begin, I want to make a distinction. I want to make a differentiation between this workshop and another workshop that I have done before, and incidentally, which I'm going to do again in May itself. Now, that workshop is called the Redesigning Your Career Workshop. Now, the one in May is actually going to be a full day workshop, all right? And it's a live workshop, face-to-face, limited to 30 people. But I just want to make sure that we all understand the difference between that workshop and today's workshop. Okay, so in that workshop, Redesigning Your Career, okay, what are the things I'm going to cover? Essentially, all right, okay, first of all, both workshops really need a lot of preparation and a lot of consideration from you. you, the participants. Okay, so now what is going to happen in that workshop? Essentially, redesigning your career, right, basically means it is more long term, it is proactive planning for a long term process. Okay, and it is really about mapping out your career path using what I call the VIPS, or what we call VIPS: values, interests, personality, and strengths. Okay, we're going to use whatever those things are for yourself to map out a career path for you. All right, and here the focus, whatever we want to develop, whether it's in terms of skills, experience, and all that, is really to support growth and career success. Okay, and then essentially the process is more gradual, incremental changes over time. So that's what we're going to cover in that part itself, right? So today's workshop about career switching strategy, developing career switching strategy, is really about how we make a significant change from what we are currently doing now, what we are currently doing in our career. Okay, so that is a very important distinction. Now, what we do today may be a subset of what you can do when you're looking at redesigning your career. Okay, so let's put it that way. So today is a much more focused process. Okay, now the other thing that I'm going to talk about is really how you involve going to a different industry, different company, or different role. Okay, so it is that's what we mean by career switch. Okay, and then the focus here, when you're developing your skills, your experience, and all that, is really putting you on a new path, a new career path, which may mean career growth, but it's very specific. It is a totally different path. Okay, so that is a one big difference. Another big difference here is that many of you may have feel this way already. The process, all right, you want a switch that is as quick as possible, because you want to think, I want to change to a different area. So the focus for us today is really looking at how we can make a response to circumstances that you are facing right now, or maybe some form of personal dissatisfaction. Okay, so that is the focus that I'm going to rely on today, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today, right? So when I mentioned just now earlier on, right, there are basically three areas whenever my clients come to me, and then you have answered the question, right? Three stages. You're not sure what you want to do, what you want to change. You're not sure what you want to do, and you're not sure how you're going to do this. Okay, so in today's session, I'm basically going to cover these three. Okay, so three portions itself. Okay, now what are you going to take away from today? What are you going to take away from today? First of all, I really want to make sure that you're really dive deep into yourself and really understand what is the real reason for making a career change. Because this is very, very important. Because if you look at it, maybe sometimes you may think, actually, I don't need to make such a drastic change. Maybe it's more about a different job rather than making a different career. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Okay, now, in accordance to a lot of you guys, the feedback that you've given me in the poll, I'm going to pay a little bit more attention to this part. Okay, how are we going to identify what are the possible options and choices that you have on your table if you're looking at a different career? Okay, so we're going to dive deep into how are we going to develop that list of options. Okay, and then those of you who are pretty clear and say, okay, I've already identified something I want to do. Okay, so then we start going into that. How do you do it? How do you develop a plan to switch careers? Is that all right? So three learning takeaways from today, right? And I notice most of you are above 40. Okay, so I'm going to try and be very specific for this group of people as well. Those of you who are above 40, right? I'm going to try and illustrate points that will help you guys in this process of making a career switch. Okay, so I can relate to this group because I am definitely above 40. All right, so I know what you guys are feeling as well. Okay, so I'm going to focus on that. Is that all right, everyone? Is that okay? All right. So the whole end goal for today, at the end of the session, is that I want you to go back, right, after today's workshop, have a real sense that you are confident, you know what you need to do. You know what to look out for when you're doing such an important activity as making a career switch. Okay, so I want you to have that feeling and say, oh yes, after going through these 2 hours with Ewan, okay, I think I know what I need to do. Okay, it may be a lot of work, but at least I know what I need to do. Is that all right? Okay, all right. Now, I also want to highlight this part. Underlying everything that I'm going to talk about is this notion of being proactive. Okay. Remember what I said earlier? Making a career switch is the challenge is not the difficulty. The challenge is making the effort. There's going to be a lot of work that you need to do, a lot of effort you need to put in. Okay? So that is the underlying assumption that I need to put on the table for all of you. Okay? Now, the other thing that I'm going to sort of bring you through is I'm going to try and behave like I'm your career coach right now, standing in front of you, although it's on a webinar and such. I'm going to try and sort of make sure that I ask you certain questions, I ask you to think about certain points so that you can reflect on those things. Okay? I cannot tell you what you should do, but I can pose you points you need to consider, and then you think about what you need to do. Okay, so that is the approach of a coach. Okay, so plenty of things, plenty of things to cover. 2.5 hours. I'm going to try and finish by around 4 o'clock. Okay, which means I have actually less than 2 hours, which is a lot of stuff to cover, right? So, but because it's such a short period, I can't give you a lot of breaks, but I'm going to try and give you one break somewhere halfway through. So maybe about 3 o'clock or so, or maybe just past 3 o'clock. Okay. Now, as far as questions are concerned, those of you who have been with my previous workshops, you will know this. Feel free to type into the chat box whatever questions you have. Okay. Notice all of you have been muted so that you won't accidentally unmute yourself and distract everyone. So if you have questions, please type it into the chat box, but put a capital letter Q in front of your questions. Okay? I will answer your questions at the end of any of the sections here. Okay, I'll answer your questions at the end of any of the sections here. The question should be related to the section that we are just going to go through each. Right? If you have a bigger question, then I'm going to leave that towards the end of the whole process. So that's why I want to finish by 4 o'clock so that we have time to address the big questions. Is that all right? Can you type in the chat box if it's okay for you, or if you have any other concerns? If you have any concerns about this process, do let me know. Okay, very good. Now, I also want to answer the big elephant in the room. Not me, although I'm big, but I'm not the elephant. The elephant in the room is many of you will probably ask me, okay, are you going to get slides for this? Okay, my short answer is no, right? But what I'm going to do is what I think is the next better thing. I'm going to give you a link to today's video. This session is being recorded. Okay, so how you're going to get the link to this video, you got to stay until the end. Then I'm going to tell you a process for me to send you that video link itself. Okay, so that is the whole thing here. Okay, so yes, everybody is okay. So let's start. I think right now we have just over 70 people, which is I think the usual because I was told that 150 sign up. So normally it's about 50% attrition rate. So 70 to 80 is about the numbers that I'm looking at. Okay, good. So let's talk about the first one. Why? Why? Okay. What is it about making a career switch? Why do you want to make a career switch? Remember, I'm talking about this part here. I'm making a significant change from what you're currently doing now, moving to a totally different industry, totally different role. Okay, and then you really want to make sure that you learn something that propels you to that new direction. Okay, so that is the main focus for here. But you need to understand why first. You need to understand why. Okay, I'm going to show you a short video which was actually a recording from Channel News Asia sometime towards the third quarter of last year. It was a news report about what people are going through right now, what they're planning to do. So take a look at this.
Now, 1 in 5 Singapore workers are thinking of changing jobs over the next 12 months. That's according to a PwC global survey of about 1,000 Singapore employees. And Gen Z employees in the 18 to 25-year-old age group are even more likely to job hop. 1 in 3 are looking to do so, and pay hikes alone won't convince them to stay. Instead, employees want greater transparency and job fulfillment. They also prefer flexible work, with 7 out of 10 workers wanting a hybrid arrangement in a post-COVID world.
Okay, now my first question to you. Why are you thinking of making a change? Why are you thinking of making a change? Can you type into the chat box? Okay, stagnation, no promotion, passion to return a career once love, first love. Any others? Current work feels meaningless. Understand? New challenges, second half of life. I want to make a career search broader. New skills, picking up new skills that are more relevant. Okay, job longevity, trying something different. Very good reasons. Very good reason. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. Okay, so whenever I ask people about why they want to make a change, and many of you have listed out all the the answers there. I just want to make sure that we are all on the same page. Okay, so some of you have already said, okay, stagnation. They're not happy. They're dissatisfied with what they're doing. Work-life balance can be an issue as well, right? Right. Better salary. Right? Many of us said better salary is a good reason for change. You can't get along with your bosses or your colleagues. You are suffering from burnout. Your values have changed, so the job doesn't align with your values. Okay. Insecurity about your job. You're not sure whether that's going to last. Okay. Health concerns. Very strong reasons, right, for making a switch. And then many of us, when we go through life, we think about having new interests, new passions. All very strong, very good reasons. Many of you have put some of these reasons here already. Then the question here, if you put down those reasons, then the next question you need to ask yourself is this. Okay, if you want to change, is it okay to just change a job, or do you want to make another big difference as making a career change? So what's the difference between a job and a career? Think about this. What's the difference between a job and a career? Okay, I want to show you a short video which one of my coaching students actually did, which I thought was really, really good. A very good illustration of what we mean, what's the difference between a job and a career. So why don't you take a look and then we can discuss this. Right. Did that surprise you? Did that distinction between a job and a career surprise you? Okay. Now, if it did, right, you are not alone, because many people tend to mix the two up together, right? So whenever I show something like this and say, hey, what are you focusing on? Are you focusing on this or this? The distinction is pretty clear. Okay. So if we look at it, a job means what? A job is something that you do for the rewards. Okay, rewards, salary, whatever, compensation, maybe the fame, the fortune. Okay, so that a job is focused on that. So people do a job because they want to get the rewards, they want to get the salary. Okay, typically when you think that way, you're tending to look at job to job to job. So essentially, it is work, and therefore it is your outlook for a job is typically quite short term. Okay, now this last one I think is very, very important. Jobs are externally influenced, they're given to us. So how well we do in our job is not, by and large, is not determined by how what we do, but it's determined by the organization that we are in. Okay, so if the organization is prospering, is doing well, typically our jobs tend to do well as well. We get salary increases, we go up, we get promoted, whatever. Obviously, some of you will say because we are competent as well. That's true. But what happens when the industry goes bust or your company is not doing well, even though you are a better performer, you will still lose your job because your future is not tied down to how good you are essentially, but how well your organization or your industry is doing. So it is externally influenced. All right, so that is job. Now, what about career? What about career? Now, first big difference already. When you look at your career, right, it is more about how this career fits in with your personal motivation, your personal values. Okay, so you have a goal in mind of what you want to do. So that career is what you are aiming for. So whenever you change career, it is more about you're not satisfied with what you're doing. You want to change because doing something different gives you more fulfillment, more satisfaction. Okay, so that is one big difference in terms of a career versus a job. And because you're looking at it that way, it becomes a vocation. It becomes more long term. It is, you can see yourself doing that for the longest time, right? So a career can be in different companies. You have a particular career, but you can work in different jobs. I mean, different companies, different organizations. But that is a career. Okay, so it is long term. Now, then this one, as you know, the last part here, okay, because it is that way, we influence how our career progresses. Okay, it is made by us. We drive our own career. It is not the organization. It is us ourselves that drives our career. Okay, so this is very, very important distinction. So I hope you see the distinction, because hopefully now you start thinking, okay, what am I really looking for? Am I really then looking for just something like this, all right, just to tide me over? Or maybe some of you are thinking, I'm doing this to tide me over so that I can do this. Could be, could be. But what I need you to think about is the distinction between the two. Is that all right? Okay? So that is one key area that I need you to think about. Now, the other thing I need you to think about is this. You see 4 boxes here. Box 1, number 1, same career, same industry. So in other words, you are probably changing a job. Now, box 2, 3, and 4. Box 2, same career, different industry. Box 3, different career, same industry. Right? Box 4, different career, different industry. Now, you guys tell me, which one is the most difficult to do? Can you type into the chat box? Which box number is the most difficult to do? Your majority of you, in fact, all of you are typing in 4. You're right. So you know. Okay? So changing a career, changing industry, changing what you do in a different industry is actually the most difficult thing to do, and the risk is the highest. In fact, when people want to do this, in essence, it's like you're reinventing yourself. Okay? So you can imagine if you're reinventing yourself, then there's a lot of effort you need to put in. Okay? Now, I'm going to come back to this chart in a little while, but I just want to make sure you understand the process. What are your options available right now first? I'm putting it on the table first. Okay, so now let's come back to this particular set of reasons. Right? So many of you have listed the reasons down here of, wanting a change. And then I'm asking you now, you want a new job or a new career? Can I suggest that if you want a new career, maybe your reasons should be more focused in this area. If your motivation for changing a new career falls into any of this, then you have the drive. You are probably looking and saying, yeah, those are the things that makes me want to do something totally different. If your reasons are outside of this set, then you're probably thinking maybe it's a job change. Maybe it's a job change. right? Like I said before in the circle, the chart, right? Changing jobs in the same industry, same role is actually much more easier. Okay, so for you, it's so very important to understand what is driving you for change. Okay, like I said, when you jump from box 1 to box 4 or even box 2 and 3, there's a lot of effort put in, much more effort than if you were to just stay in box 1 in that pie chart. Okay, so remember this. So this is basically the gist of what I'm trying to ask you to reflect on in this particular section itself. Okay, so let me just make sure I summarize very quickly. Okay, under this portion about why we want to change, in essence, you need to think about what is the real reason for making a career switch. Okay, so in other words, what are the real issues involved? What are the real issues involved? What are your options? Right, so the options that I've just illustrated there are box 1, 2, 3, and 4. Which one makes more sense to you? What is your degree of risk and what's your appetite for risk and effort? Okay, you have to think about that. Now, these are the things you need to think about, but you also need to consider things to avoid. You need to think about things to avoid. What are these things to avoid? Don't get stuck in a negative spiral. What do we mean by this? Essentially, you get stuck saying, oh no, I think I just want to stay where I am, and therefore, things get worse and worse, and then I'm just going down in a spiral. Okay, don't get stuck in that. All right. So don't suffer in silence. Okay, do something about it. If you're unhappy for whatever reason, okay, do something about it. It may be as simple as talking to your boss, or maybe as simple as talking to other people just to get things off your chest. Okay, but at the end of the day, what I'm always talking about is that you are responsible for your own career progress. Don't wait for your organization, don't wait for the government, don't wait for the industry to propel your career progress. You are the one you are the driver of your career vehicle. Okay, so please take action. Whatever your situation is, don't just sit there and accept. Take action. All right. Right. Hopefully you're now, after you have listened to this particular portion, you start thinking, hey, I need to really understand why I want to make a change. And are the reasons strong enough for me to make such a big effort into making a total career switch? Okay. Right. Melanie has said, usually a career change will involve compromising on lower salary due to lack of experience. How do we counter this? Thank you, Melanie. I'm going to come to that in the third portion, which is on how we're going to do this, because there are some issues I need to address. Okay. And then we're going to manage that itself. Right. Okay. So now we talk about the what. All right. So here you have decided, okay, I want to make a change. So what are we going to talk about then? Here, I'm really focusing on how we identify what are the possible options and choices you will have. Okay, you probably are familiar with this ikigai sort of sentiment, right? You look at this, all different pies. It's an intersection of doing what you love, what you're good at, what you can be paid for, and what the world needs. All right, that intersection, that center part is the ikigai. Okay, so in essence, if you can see from here, it's really about finding out what you are good at, where your passion is, and then whether people are willing to pay you for what you want to do. Right? That last part is so important, right? No point saying, no, I love to do this, I love to do that, but then you find out nobody is willing to pay you for it. Then what's the point? Because we all have to make a living. Correct? Okay. So in this portion itself, it's really about exploring. It's really about exploring. So what are you going to explore? So if you look at it, the first question you want to ask yourself is this: what company or job is aligned with my interests or the traits? That means my personality. Okay, so that's one question you want to ask yourself. Another question you want to ask yourself, what type of work best supports my values? In other words, what's important for me? Okay, I'm going to talk about values in a little while, right? Then, what skills are organizations looking for in my interest area? What skills are organizations for looking in my interest area? Okay, so now if you looked at this, then let me deal one by one. Okay, so what companies are looking for? What company or job is aligned to my interest and trait? Here, the focus is about the task that you need to do or the organization itself. So you need to look at your personality, your interest, what engages you, what is your passion. Right? So that is the thing that you need to look out for. All right. Then, what type of work best supports your values is really about the work environment. It's about the work environment. All right. So here, then you need to look at, what's important for me in my career. Like I mentioned earlier, we're going to have a process to talk about this as well. Okay. Next one, in the purple box, what skills or organizations are looking for in my interest area is really about the job function. Okay. And then here, I need to focus on what I do well. All right. In other words, your skills. What do you do well? Okay. So, in order to find out all these things that I mentioned, okay, there are lots of ways to do it. Lots of ways to do it. I essentially look at two ways. Okay. These two ways here. This one, I call it the blue sky method. And then this one, I call it the vault method. Okay. So let's deal one by one. Let's deal one by one. Okay. So the blue sky method, what does this mean? This method is really good for those of you who are more, how should I put it? More looking at, oh, I like to dream, I like to wish upon a star, that sort of process. Many people are thinking that way. Many people are thinking that way. So, oh, I wish I could do this. Oh, I wish I could do that. So if you are someone who thinks in that way, okay, maybe this is a process for you. Because, if I come across a client who thinks that way, I'm going to ask him a few questions. I'm going to ask you a few questions, right? So the first thing is this. If you could do anything you want, what would you do? What job would you take up? If you could do anything, but it's a bit like an adult asking a child, okay, what do you want to do when you grow up? What do you want to do when you grow up? Okay? Right? So you start dreaming, you start thinking, right? Then you start, okay, let's use an example. Let's say, okay, somebody mentioned scientist. Okay, you want to be a scientist. Okay, good. So then let's use that example. Why do you like to be a scientist? What is it about being a scientist that appeals to you, attracts you? Is it the discipline? Is it about, working with other like-minded scientists? Is it about the process of investigation? Right? What is it about being a scientist that you like? Okay? Or is it just the fact that, people look up to you, that you feel, oh, I feel important? I think a scientist allows me to do that. Okay? Add value to others' life. Very good. Very noble. So if let's say your idea of being a scientist is to add value to other people's life, very good. Then my next question that I would ask would be this. Is there any other type of jobs that has also the same nature of adding value to other people's lives? Think about this. If being a scientist, the reason why you like being a scientist is that it makes you feel that you're adding value to someone's life. What other jobs also gives value to other people's life? What do you guys think? Anyone? What other jobs also give value to other people's life? Well, there's quite a lot, right? You're talking, somebody put down farmer, which is right. Farming is actually a very value, although in Singapore, maybe the capacity for farming is not there, but there are others. Okay? All depends on what you mean by value, what satisfaction you get out from there. Okay? Like for example, for me, all right, my value is helping people progress through their career and I feel that I add value to that. Okay, so you have to identify what is the value. What other jobs gives you that same feeling? So you list this down. You list this down. Okay, that's not all, huh? Then you start thinking. Okay, so you have a list of possible choices that that has all the same, gives you the same feeling what you like to do. Then you start thinking, going on one by one. Okay, if I want to be a scientist, what do I need to do? Do I have any existing skills or experience that I can use if I were to become a scientist? Think about this, huh? So you do the same thinking through each of your options that you have. Okay? So, like for example, for me, when I was thinking about embarking on this notion of being a career coach, okay, I was thinking, because I was not trained in that, but what transferable skills did I have? Well, if I look back at it, I have been managing teams, I've been managing people in my past career, and many of the people that came to me asked me about help in their career progression. Okay, so I had experiences in that context. I had experiences in context. I dealt with people. I interacted with people. Many people confided in me, so I had that, maybe the soft skills that you're talking about. All right, right. So you do that. You list down what are the things that you need to do. What are the transferable skills? So then I felt, if I wanted to be a coach, a career coach and trainer, right? I have those things that I can transfer. But what do I need to do? Oh, then I thought, okay, I need to go for training. I need to get certified to become a career coach. I need to gain credentials for that. Okay, I need to practice so that I get better at this. Okay, so those were the steps that I needed to do. Now, then, very, very important thing that we should not miss out. What is the potential? Is it possible for you to go into this area? Okay, so if for whoever has said that they want to be a scientist, then you have to think about, okay, I know what I need to do. No, I know what skills I have, but is it possible for me to enter that stage right now, considering where my career stage is? Okay, what is the potential for growth if I were to be a scientist? Okay, does that pay well, pay in accordance to what I want, what I need in terms of salary and compensation? So that you have to research. And how do you find that out? Well, the best way to find out this particular portion is really to talk to people. No two ways about it. You have to go out and talk to people. Talk to people who are working in that field that you want to go into. Find out more information about that field or those fields. Okay? You really need to do this. Remember what I said? It takes a lot of effort, and this is one of the biggest effort. Going out, talking to people, finding out more information. Okay? Now, as you go through all this, one of the things that you're going to see is that there are gaps to where you want to go and where you currently are now. Okay? So you need to be conscious of this gap. Okay? Now, how you navigate this gap, I'm going to talk about in the next section. Okay? But you need to be conscious of this. All right? So that is the key thing here. Okay? So you have this set of information now. Okay? You have a list of options. You have some information about what you need to do, what transferable skills you can get there, what are the potential. And all this is about talking to people. Maybe you want to do market research online or whatever. That's fine. But the most effective one is really going out and talking to people. How you do it is a process called informational interview, which I will talk a little bit about later on. Okay? But these are the things. Are we okay with this? So this is the blue sky method. This is what I call the blue sky method. Appeals to those of you who are wanting to, I want to think about this, I want to think about that, I like to, open the gates and think about all sorts of different possibilities. Many people think that way. Okay. Now, what about those of you who are much more structured, much more in the box people. In other words, you like to categorize things into their area, so to speak. Okay, so this is where the vault method comes in. This is where the vault method comes in. Okay, so here in this method, I'm basically asking you to look at two particular aspects. The first one is what motivates you. Okay, and then the second one is what you are good at. Right? So you can see here the starting point is different already, right? The starting point here is looking inwards in yourself first to say, okay, what am I good at? What motivates me? Whereas the blue sky one, you will have the option of, okay, I want to open up the gates and think about what I can possibly do. Okay, so the approach is different, but the end result is the same. The end result is the same. Okay, so let me deal with this portion one. What motivates you? The guys, happy jumping around. What motivates you? What makes you excited about coming to work? Okay, let me tell you, when I started on my journey as a career coach, I had no more Monday blues, no, because it's just like, wow, every day is so exciting, so new, because I'm doing what I am passionate about. Okay, so you have to go through the process of understanding what this is. You have to do that. Okay, so how are you going to do this? All right, those of you who have been to my past workshops, you're familiar with this, but I'm going to give a slight twist to this particular exercise called the meaningful experience exercise. Meaningful experience exercise. Okay, so those of you, if you want to take out a piece of paper or you open up your spreadsheet or Word document, I leave it up to you. But, essentially, it is about you capturing the 4 columns of information here. So the first piece of information is basically your job title, whether it's part-time, full-time, or whatever. Okay. The second column is what are the activities related to that particular job. Okay. And then the last 2 columns, what you like, what you dislike about that job itself. Right. Now, why are we doing this? Right. So let me sort of explain to you the process. Here, you want to start thinking, especially those of you who are above 40, most of you are above 40. So this one should be very easy for you to do. Right? Put down at least 3 past, or maybe you want to put down your current job as well, but at least 3 items, 3 jobs or activities there. Okay. The reason why 3 is because we want to spot a pattern. So anything less than 3, there's no pattern. You want to spot a trend. Okay. Then for each line, you want to ask yourself what you like, what you didn't like about these things. Right? Are we okay so far? Okay, so pretty simple, right? Right? So put down these. The more activities or jobs you put down, the easier it is for you to spot a trend. Okay, so what are you trying to get at here? Essentially, you're trying to look at from the results that you put down here, like or dislike. Okay, you're trying to determine what's important to you. When you're looking at your job, when you're looking at your career, what was important to you? Okay, so for example, for me, when I was doing this exercise a few years ago, I realized that the things that was important to me was actually being able to work with people, seeing the results, seeing their satisfaction being fulfilled by them. Okay, I like to see people progress. Okay, what I didn't like was the other parts that was associated with managing teams. It's what about the office politics and all that. Those I didn't like. Okay, so maybe some of you can relate to that. Okay, so from there, if you get a list of what's important to you, in essence, you're already compiling a list of your career values. You're already compiling a list of career values. Okay, so think about this. Right? What you need to do is really to identify what would motivate you, what would drive you, what would get you out of bed every morning to do the things that you need or want to do. Okay, what motivates you? It could be as simple as saying, I want a high paying salary. Fine, if that is what motivates you, put it down. Okay, I remember one of the jobs that I sort of liked in my past was that it was a very high paying salary. Okay, so I put that down. So you need to, if that's what motivates you, be frank about it, put it down. Okay, then from there you start thinking about what are your values. What are your values? Are we okay with this particular activity? Right? So I don't think we have time to do this now. Okay, typically I try to do this during my longer workshops, but given the short time we have and the amount of things that we need to go through, right, I won't ask you to do this now. But I hope you can take the time after today's workshop to give it a try. Okay. So the end result, the end takeaway for this particular activity is really determining what's important for you. Okay, what are your values, your career values? That is the end result you want to get from this particular activity. Okay, and here are just some examples, that you have maybe a different or maybe you have the same ones. Right, so these are just some examples of values. Like for example, I want to earn a career, good income, must be variety of tasks. I want work-life balance, good health benefits, stimulating work environment. All those things you hear. These are just examples I pull off from the internet, and actually some of them were from my clients as well. Okay, so it may be simple for you. You can just list all these down. All right. Now, many of you probably don't have that many. Maybe some of you have more than this. Okay. Later on, we're going to go through a process of trying to refine this list. Because sometimes it's too many, it becomes unmanageable because it makes it very difficult for you. Okay. So this is the output for the exercise. You need then to keep this output first. We're going to come to this in a little while. All right. Keep this output. You okay? All right. So next bit here, we're going to talk about what you are good at, what skills you have. So it's not just about the level of competency that you have, how good you are at doing something. It is also about whether you actually want to use that skill. Because I'm sure many of you have got skill sets that you're good at, but actually you don't like to use. Right? You have to be conscious about that. Okay? So another exercise that you can do, right, at home after today's workshop, okay, is this. So you see 4 boxes here. So you have the column here is basically your preference. What do you like or don't like to do? The one at the top there is competency. Whether you are good at it or whether you are not good at it. Okay? So maybe what you want to do is this. As I go through the boxes, maybe you can note this down very quickly in your exercise book or paper. Okay. So let's talk about the thing in the purple box. I'm good at this and I like to do it. I'm good at this and I like to do it. Think about it. What are you good at now? And what and do you like to do it? What are you good at and you like to do? Okay, so that set of skills, we actually call it the motivated skill because you want to use it because you're good at it and you like to do it. Okay, what is your motivated skills? Think about this. For me, it was working with people, right? For me, it is about doing workshops like this, training other people to become career coaches. I was good at it. I am good at it and I love to do it. So that is my passion. What is yours? What is yours? So take a few seconds, write this down. You may have more than one, maybe you have a few, right? For those of you who are really motivated and got, really very clear about what it, maybe you have quite a few there. Okay. But important thing is that be conscious about this. Write this down. Okay. Next bit. Let's talk about the red box. What's in the red box? I'm good at this, but I don't like to do it. Oh no. How? You're good at this, but you don't like to do it. I tell you my red box. When I was working for companies, right, one of my jobs essentially was looking after territories, geographical regions. I was P&L responsibility, let's put it that way. Okay. I've been told I was good at it, but I really didn't like managing numbers. I didn't like chasing numbers. That's something I really didn't like. And the more I did it, the more it burned me out. So that's burnout skills. Okay? So, what are your burnout skills? What are you good at, but you don't like to do? What are you good at, but you don't like to do? Think about it. Every job has got something like this. Like, for example, now in my practice, one of my burnout skills I don't like to do is actually going out and searching for new clients. Luckily for me, I don't have to do a lot of that. But I don't like to go and knock on doors and say, hey, want to be my client and all that. I don't like to do that. Okay. But luckily for me, I don't have to do a lot of it. So what are your burnout skills? What are your burnout skills? Be frank, huh? Okay. You have to be transparent to yourself. Nobody else will see this, right? You are the one seeing this. So you have to be frank to yourself. Okay. Orange box. I am not good at this, but I like to do it. I'm not good at this, but I like to do it. What is it? No? What are you, something that you are really keen, but actually you're not sure how to do it? Okay, so what do we call this? We call this developmental skill. All of us have this. All of us have this. So when we have something that we like to do, we are motivated to learn this, right? So to learn to get better. So hopefully by then, as you learn to get better, the orange, whatever's in the orange box gets pushed to the motivated skills box. That is your goal. Correct or not? But you will always have something there in the orange box. Right? For me, when I started out, those of you who have been to my past workshops will know. For me, when I started out in this practice, right, one of the things, the last 2 years or so, all the workshops have been online. Okay, one of the things that I was really keen on was how do I make it more interesting for you guys when you're attending my workshop. Okay, I was very keen on understanding how to do it, but I wasn't very good at this. So I went about learning and doing and looking at what other people did and learn the best practices. Okay. So what are your developmental skills? What are your developmental skills? Okay, so far? So we've done motivated skills, we've done burnout skills, we've done developmental skills. Okay, last box, gray one. I'm not good at this, I don't like to do this. Hopefully you don't have too many of this here. Okay, so essentially, if you don't like to do this and you're not good at this, typically people call it irrelevant because then you just try to avoid it as much as possible. Now, if your boss or whoever says, no, 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 Jermaine, you must do this, whatever it is inside that gray box, you must do it for me. But you say, but I don't know how to do this, and I really don't like to do this. No, 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 you must do it. Okay, then you have to learn how to do this, right? Either push it to the orange box or push it, it may go into the burnout area. You never know. Okay, but you must be conscious of this. Hopefully, you don't have many of this. All right. So, what is the objective of this exercise? The objective of this exercise is not to give you a clear-cut answer to say the job I'm going to find or the career I'm going to find must have what particular box. No. This purpose of this exercise is to give you clarity about your competencies and your preferences. Because then it gives you an idea when you are looking at a new career or even a new job for that matter, but in this case, a new career, then you're conscious to say, oh, in that new career, I am able to use a lot of my motivator skills. But I also have the opportunity to learn developmental skills, use my developmental skills. Okay. Or you may be thinking about and say, oh, that new career actually got quite a lot of things in the burnout area, which I got to be conscious of. Maybe I'll still go into this. Hopefully I can manage those items in the red box. So you have to be conscious about this and you have to make that decision whether that the career that you go for, which box should you have. Okay. All right. So this then once you have those information about all the different competencies, all the different boxes, the skills, what you like to do, and what you're good at, then you start looking and doing your own research already. All right. Again, the research here is what talking to people, maybe doing online search about what type of jobs there are out there that allows you to use that particular skill sets. Okay. do the research, and then you come out with a list of options again. So remember, whatever you do in all the exercises, at the end of it is coming out with a list of options, right? And that list of options, right, is also about knowing what you need to do in order to achieve that. Remember, okay, what you need to do, what transferable skills can you bring from your current situation to that new career, new potential career. All right, and then obviously look at potential possibilities, and then looking at where the gaps are, looking at where the gaps are. Okay, so start thinking about this, start thinking about this. I think by now you would realize, right, you would realize that, this whole process of looking for a new career, embarking for a new career, is actually a very involved process. It is not like bang, I can just decide. No. Okay, so it is not difficult, it just takes a lot of effort. You need to understand this. Okay, so we talked about the two methods here. There may be more that you are familiar with. I'm just going to focus on these two: blue sky and the vault method. All right, so the output from these two methods is similar. They're very similar. Okay, it's about generating a list of options. Okay, generating a list of options, all right, where then you can find out what you need to do in order to go into those new options, career options, right? What can you bring from your current table to the new table? Okay, looking at what are the potential, right? The potential and the possibilities, essentially you going out and talking to people. You going out and talking to people, all right? And then obviously it is about knowing where the gaps are, because we're going to talk about the gaps in a little while. We're going to talk about the gaps in a little while. Okay, right. So now, after having all that information, what you need to do now is, you got a list of options, right? The career options. You then now need to look at ranking them in terms of possibilities. Okay, ranking them in terms of possibilities. I want to bring you back to this particular chart again. Okay, remember what we said, right? Going to career number 4, right, or rather path 4, right, is the most difficult and the most risky. Okay, because it involves a change of career and a change of jobs and a change of industry, rather. Okay, so in your list of options, we are trying to rank all this. Okay, can you consider either 2 or 3? You need to think about this. This is something you have to consider. Okay, and how you come to that decision, it really depends on what your expectations are when you embark on this new journey. What are your expectations? Whether it's in terms of compensation, whether it's in terms of the time that you have in order to search for this new career, right? Jumping to box 4 will take time. And somebody asked about salary, which we'll talk about later on, but there is a risk that you may not get the salary that you want, right? Whereas box 2 and 3, right, it is still a change in careers, right? But it's just the situation is different. Okay, so and the risk may be less. Okay, and the possibilities and they may take shorter time, may be quicker for you, and maybe the salary may not be eroded at all. Okay, so it is about your expectations. You have to think about that. You have to think about that. And really, you then have to think, those expectations you see up there, how does it match with your values? Remember the value set of lists you have already listed down? How does it match with your values? Because that is so important, right? Values means what? Values are what is important to you. What is important to you? Okay, what is important to you? So for example, if you have a list of values like this, okay, then you need to start thinking about how you are going to rate all this. How are you going to rate all this? Now, many people have come and asked me, what do I put down? Do I put down like maybe rating, or do I put down ranking? Honestly, in my view, if you put down rating, for example, you say 1 important, 2 not so important, 3 least important, for example, all right, chances are many of those who have the same value, many of those values will be probably 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, so I rather get my clients to rank them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth. And here you rank maybe the top 8. You can go to top 10, but 10 usually quite a lot. Less than 8, maybe you want to, it may be too few for you to make a judgment. Okay, so between 5 to 8 is okay. So if you can rank them in terms of top 5 to 8, in terms of what are important to you as far as your job is concerned, that is the first big thing you want to do. All right. Okay, so now you've ranked them. You rank them already. So what do you do next? What do you do next? You start then comparing these to the list of job options that you have generated for yourself. Okay, so this is one example here. So this guy, his values are under the column objective. He said, my values, I want to have a lot of pride. I like to the tasks I need to do. It must be meaningful. I like to deal with the certain type of people. I want to have a lot of learning opportunities. Blah 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 blah. Okay, then he listed down 3 possible career options. So joining a startup, maybe going to a venture capital firm, or doing consulting. So he start comparing. So here he start thinking, startup will give me a lot of pride. So I put down value of 3 there. This is value, is not ranking already, right? This is about how well it associates with how the score associates with what I feel is important. Then he start thinking, then he adds up, right? He adds up in total. So 18 maybe stroke 22 because the financial rewards is not so sure. Okay. Then the next one, venture capital, was 22, right? Then he last consulting was 25. So is that the end of the story? Are you coming to this same conclusion that he has come to, that says that, consulting seems to be the one that best matches my value, therefore I'm going to go 100% into consulting? Are you going to do that? Is that a safe assumption? I hope you don't jump to that too quickly. Okay? Because this is just another step. What do you need to do now? You need to then go and talk to more people, in particular about that industry that you've chosen, here in this case, consulting. And talk to people and confirm if what you know about the industry is what is reality. Okay? If it is, good. If it's not, then you're going to come back to this particular matrix and reassess again. Okay? So, a lot of work, a lot of work. So, you need to be very conscious of all the things that you need to do. Okay? So, at this point, I think it's pretty clear for you, right? When you are looking at a career exploration path, when you are looking at possible options and possible choices, this whole process is really about what? Finding information. Okay? Getting information from different people. You want to be curious. You want to try out. Those of you who are currently working, can that company give you an opportunity to try out something different? Some companies can. One of my old companies, which I stayed on for 8 years, it had the opportunity to allow me to try different things. That's why I stayed on for so long. Okay? So talk to people. That is your priority for this particular section itself. That is your priority. Okay? So here, you need to know what you're good at, what drives you. Okay? Talking to people becomes your primary activity as far as the external portion is concerned. There you're going to gather information, and this is a starting point for you to build relationships, build your network. Okay? Why is this important? Later I'm going to tell you why. Okay? Later I'm going to tell you why. Okay? But what to watch out for? When you are career exploring, you must watch out for something. What is it you must watch out for? Don't be paralyzed by over-analysis. Okay? Don't be paralyzed by over-analysis. Right? make sure that you have some actionable items to do. Okay. On the other hand, don't be too narrow in your search. Okay. I have some clients who would come and tell me when they're doing this process, they'll come and say, "Oh, Ewan, I've identified one option. I think I want to go for that one." I highlight to him. I said, "Great. The good thing here is that you have identified one that you're really keen on. But let's take a look at maybe a few more, just to make sure that you have something that falls well in case that one that you search for is really ends up not so correct for you." Okay, so don't be too narrow too soon. Don't be too narrow too soon. Okay, try new things. Okay, whether it is part of your organization or whether you do it voluntarily. For example, when I embarked on this path of doing career coaching, right, I went out and tried it out. Yeah, I tried it out by talking to people. I tried it out by talking volunteering to coach other people based on my own experiences. So I wanted to see how I felt. Right. So as much as possible, if you can, you try out. Okay, it's experimenting. Right. But the thing here is that you shouldn't do things alone. Okay, talking to people is so important. Please do that. Okay, getting emotional support from your family, your friends is also very important. Career change, right, is a very monumental effort. Right, you cannot do this alone. You need people around you to give you moral support. Right. Okay, good. All right, time now is 3:15, almost 3:15, 3:13. Time for a break. So given the time, why don't we take a 5-minute break? Is that all right? A 5-minute break, and then we come back and we talk about the last part, which is how we're going to do this. Okay? So I see you guys in 5 minutes. Okay. Hopefully all of you had a nice break, right? Stretch break and all. So we have another about just over an hour, but I think I'll try and finish this by 4 o'clock. So essentially we'll spend the last just over an hour talking about the first two sections, which is why do you want to make a career switch, understand the reasons why. And then the second portion is about, what are the options that you have? How do you generate the options? Okay, so I just saw a question just now from Jeffrey. He says, compared to the incumbent, someone who is long in the industry, how can I ensure that I will not lose out to them? Okay, that's a tricky part. That's a tricky part, which I'm going to deal with in the last portion itself on how. Okay, so if there's no other questions on this, then I'm going to talk about this. Okay, Jeffrey also asked another, does career switch lead to a pay cut? Now, the general perception is probably, right? It all depends on where you're switching to, and the type of jobs. Okay, that's why in the box about career 1, 2, 3, and 4, if you go from 1 to 4, your value, your salary, the ability to command a particular salary level depends on how you can solve the company's problems the company that you're going to join, how you're going to help them. Okay, if you can help them, then there's no reason why they cannot pay you the market salary. Okay, so it all depends on that, which I'm going to talk about in this portion itself. All right, so given this is the lead-in questions, let's talk about this last portion, which is how we're gonna talk about this. Okay, so two particular premise I need you all to understand first. One of this is here. Okay, by nature, employers don't like to take risks. Okay, they always want to hire the best person possible to go into the company, to do the job, do the role. Okay, so your emphasis here is not about how good you are. No, you should not look at it that way. It is about how you use your experience, your skills to help the potential employer. That should be your emphasis. Okay, so again, you need to switch your perspective. It is not about how good you are, it is about how you can help them. So that is the first big thing you need to understand. Okay, that's the first big thing you need to understand. Now, the second thing that you need to understand is this concept. This concept. Okay, most of the jobs that you see in public are not advertised. Those jobs that you see that are in the public domain, in the job postings and all that, and maybe even through headhunters, is only about what, 20, 30, 40% or less. Okay, so the majority of job opportunities are actually below the surface. Okay, confidential openings, they're not in the public domain. So you only identify these things either through talking to people in your network or maybe through internal promotions and such. Okay, now this notion, this is called a hidden job, right? I've actually just done a recent workshop on this. So if you want, you can go and look into much more detail about this notion of a hidden job market, right? I think, you know, it's related to this career switching part, because when you look for a new career, one of the key things that you must understand is this notion of a hidden job. Okay, so now, so we're talking about two particular areas here that you need to think about, right? Employers are risk averse, majority of jobs are hidden. So what does that mean? You as a career switcher, what do you need to do? Can anybody tell me, if you are faced with these two constraints, what do you need to do if you're looking at switching careers? Can you type into the chat box, what do you think you need to do? If Okay, networking, somebody said networking. Well, majority have said networking. Any other points about this? Networking, training. Okay, that's another element that you need to do. Training leads you to do something, right? So it's not just about training. Training doesn't automatically give you a better chance to switch careers. Okay, so but it's important process to achieve something. Okay, all right. So since you all are waiting for me to give you an answer, then I'll give you the answer. So essentially, you're looking at these few elements here. Okay, relevance, knowing how you help people, building relationships, being very targeted, and creating awareness. I'm going to talk about each of these individually. Okay, so first one is this: relevance. What do we mean by relevance? We already gone through this exercise here, right? You talked about all your skills, your competencies, and the level of interest in using particular sets of skills and experiences. You've gone through that, okay? You've gone through a whole process of finding out where the gaps are, okay? When there's a gap, that means you need to do something, right? Gap means what? You want to go from A to B, but in order to get from A to B, you need to do something about your experience or your skills. Now, many a time, okay, it can be as simple as training, or maybe what we call career ventures. In other words, going for so-called internships or mid-career trials, which is happening out. A lot of people are doing that, or going to volunteer and try things out, gain the experience. All right. Now comes to my point about my comment about training. Okay, I've come across a lot of people. Their perception here is this: it's okay, I attend as many courses, I attend a lot of courses and all that sort of thing. At the end, the more courses I attend, I will definitely get a new job or new career. I think the emphasis is incorrect. Okay, you need to identify if the course is relevant for your next step. So in other words, before jumping into another course, you need to think about whether that course will help you in your career step. If it doesn't help you, then what's the point of going for that course? Wasting your money, wasting your time. Okay, so yes, going for training, going for courses is important, but what is more important is the thinking behind, the thinking before going for signing up for the training and the courses, is to why are you going for this? How is this going to help you? Okay, and your ability to answer that really depends on the exercises that you've done here. What is my gap? The gap between going from point A to point B. Okay, from point A to point B. So that is the thing I need you all to understand. Okay, so it is not about going for as much training as possible. No, it is about going for making sure that whatever you go for is relevant to the next step that you're going for. So here, the assumption here, remember this last part about how you go about doing it. The assumption here is that you have already decided, say, oh, you know, I've identified, I've shortlisted 2 or 3 career options. So now I'm trying to see how I can go about achieving the career choices. Okay, so that is the assumption here. All right. So I'm not delving into you still thinking about, oh, what's my possibilities and all that. No, I'm already gone past that stage already. Okay, are we okay so far? All right. So next thing, relevance is there, right? You need to do something that you need to have the skills and experience that's relevant to the target career that you're going for. Next, you have to understand, because employers are risk averse, it means what? It's not about you, it's about how you can help them, right? So you have to be able to think about how you actually help them, how you can be what? How can you be an asset, not a risk? Okay, because you want to minimize risk. What? The employers want to minimize risk, so you don't want them to see you as a risk. You want them to see you as an asset. So what's the best way for them to see you as an asset? Is to be able to understand what their problems are and how you can use your experiences and your skills to solve their problem. All right, please understand this. I need all of you to think, flip your thinking. It is no longer about how good you are or whatever you do, It is about how you make yourself appeal to the other party. And the best way to appeal to the other party is to say to them, hey, I know you've got a problem here. I can help you. I help you by doing this, 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 this. Okay? So that you need to think about it that way now. Okay. So how are you going to identify this? How are you going to identify this? All right? I would suggest this simple step. Okay, so here is where maybe you take out another piece of paper or you open out your spreadsheet or document, Word document. All right, so essentially here you start looking at what you are good at. Okay, the first step, what you are good at. Okay, you've already gone through the exercise just now on the 4 competencies and all that, so you can list down. So I've got an example here. Okay, those of you, maybe some of you have this. You got people management skills. Right, you've got a very good track record of building teams. Wow, very good. This is very good experience, is very good skill sets. Very transferable also, right? Very transferable also. So, what is the problem you solve? Think about this, it's not how you solve it, but what is the problem you solve? So, what do you guys think? You type into the chat box. Let's get some feedback from you guys now. If you have this experience, people management skills, you build effective teams, what sort of problems do you solve? I need you to think about it in this way. What sort of problems do you solve? Can you type into the chat box? Anyone? What sort of problems do you solve? No one? Very quite good. Low motivation, okay. Conflicts, operational issues, employee retention, communication gaps, high staff turnover. Great. Great. Those are problems. Those are problems. All right. So staff turnover, low staff morale, underperforming team, those are problems that you can solve. And how you solve it? You solve it by what? Maybe building a team culture, team environment, you're mentoring them, you're giving them clear directions. Okay? So here you're isolating the problems you can solve using your skills. So how you solve it, okay, is important, but it is not the focus now. It's looking at what is the problem you solve. The things in the yellow box. Okay? So another example here. Experience in launching new products, expanding into new markets. That's your experience. That's your superpower. Having that skill set, what are the problems you solve for the other company? What are the problems you solve for the other company? Anyone? If you are very good at marketing and launching new products, what do you solve? What problems do you solve? Any idea? Business development is not a problem. Basically, it's a statement. What is the problem? Low sales. Yep, low sales. Any other problems? Any other problems? Okay, sales and product development is not a problem. It is a statement. What is the problem? What is the problem? What is the problem statement? Okay, so maybe, it could be this. no international presence, okay, low market share, maybe your budget is limited. So, that is a problem. I want to do a lot of things, but my budget is limited. Okay. So how you solve it, right? Insights into consumer purchasing, and maybe you got extensive marketing network. Maybe you have got, you are very good at managing budgets, marketing budgets. So I hope you see this, because it is so important for you to be able to identify the things in the yellow box. What do we mean by this? Those things in the yellow box, once you can identify the problems in the yellow box, it basically means you can then use that information and go to every company and do your research on that company and say, does the company have that problem? Can I help them? If the company has that problem, wow, straight away I can say, I can help them already. All right. Okay. One question. These problem solving skills can only be exhibited during the interview stage. Nope. You can do it before, which I'm going to tell you in a little while, which in fact is in my next slide. Okay. So hold your horses, Shising, okay, because I'm going to elaborate on this, how you're going to use this. Okay. But I hope you all understand the concept here. Identifying what the problem is. Okay, don't be hard up about those things in the green box, how you solve it. Because yes, how you solve it, you can communicate in different ways, but the information you gather from the yellow box helps you to then target particular companies or people, and you can communicate with them, hey, Mr. Company or Mr. A, I see that you've got this problem. I've got experience, I can help you. Bang! Wow, that fella is going to listen to you straight away, man. Okay, the person is going to straight away listen away. Okay, one question. It is not easy to find out problems that each organization is facing. How do we do that? See, this is where I find that a lot of us have this old mentality where we expect information to be given to us. No. Remember what I said about effort? You have to go out and find, right? And I'm going to talk about this in my next slide. Okay, so let me go to the next slide, which will answer Siugat's question on this. Okay, so in the meantime, I hope this is clear for you guys, right? This framework to help you identify what problems you solve. Right? So the yellow box is the focus, the information. Okay, so now you have that, how you solve the problems, right? And how you get your skills experiences are relevant to the company. So now you start going out and reaching out to particular people already. Okay, so I've grouped this into the relationship, the being targeted and customized, and creating awareness. I've grouped them together because the same approach is the same. The approach is the same for all three. Right. I'm going to elaborate on this actually on my workshop on the 26th of May. It's another virtual workshop, 3 hours. Okay. It's on the 26th of May. It's called Personal Branding for Job Seekers. Okay. So I can't do now in less than half an hour what I'm going to do in 3 hours. Okay. But I'm going to give you some key points. So hopefully you'll see that. Okay. So what is important when you are looking at awareness, relationship, and being very targeted and customized? Here, you want to highlight what skills you have on the table that is relevant to the company that you are targeting, or to the profession that you are targeting. Okay, you got to demonstrate adaptability and the ability that you have a learning attitude. You're always learning, always trying new things. Okay, and you have to show how you solve their problems. Okay, so you got to give examples of what you have done. For example, the person who's got very strong team building, creating teams, motivating people, then you got to give examples in your communication. I'll tell you what those communication platforms are in a little while, how you were able to solve those problems. Okay, so that is the focus. The whole idea is you want to build your own network of supporters. So it's not just about having a lot of people in your network. Those people must trust and believe in you, so they become your supporters. That's the whole purpose of personal branding, right? And once they support you, they will refer new opportunities to you. Or if they know that you are interested in a particular area, they will support you, or they will refer you to that new opportunity. Okay, in fact, some of them may even search for the opportunity for you if they really believe in you. Okay, so here it is all about uncovering hidden opportunities. Hopefully you have a chance to watch that video of that workshop, which will give you a lot more information. Now, how do you do this? I'm coming to this. How do you do this? All right, so essentially 3 areas. Okay, going through a platform, social media platform like LinkedIn. Now, why LinkedIn? Because it is one of the most relevant platforms for people who are wanting to seek jobs or careers. Because a lot of people a lot of recruiters look into LinkedIn. So that's my suggestion. You should have a presence in LinkedIn. I'm going to talk a little bit about informational interviews. How do you approach people to get the information you want, but at the same time, make them become your supporters? Then I'm going to talk also about a little bit about building networks. Okay, so 3 elements. All right. So very quickly, let's talk about this one first. LinkedIn. A lot of information on the internet. Okay, some of you may already know this, but I'm just going to summarize how LinkedIn can help you in your career switch by doing your personal branding. Okay, LinkedIn allows you to define yourself, allows you to market yourself. Okay, so here you use keywords, problem-solving statements, unique selling propositions, accomplishments. So this comes back to a earlier question about, can your problem-solving skills can only be exhibited during the interview stage? This is where one of the platforms you can use to showcase yourself to say, I can solve this problem. Right? Those of you who are not so sure, you can go to my LinkedIn profile. I'll show you my LinkedIn URL later on, where that's what precisely I'm trying to do. How I help people. Okay, so that's where you can demonstrate that. Okay, endorsements, people recommend you. That one is how you get defined, and in the endorsement, typically they will say how you have helped them. Okay. You want to join target groups, follow the companies that you're interested in joining. Okay, that's where you start marketing yourself. Okay, because LinkedIn has an algorithm that if you join that group, that company, you follow that company, or you join certain discussion groups, where recruiters type in a requirement to look for somebody of a particular skill set. If you have that skill set and you're joining you're following certain target companies, chances are your name will come up at the top half of the search box. Okay, so do that. Contribute knowledge, contribute opinions on this platform. Okay, this will tell people what you're interested in, what you can do. Okay, so this is all part of personal branding. All right, so very short blurb about LinkedIn, a lot of information out there. I mean, if you want to know more, you can attend my workshop on the 26th of May. All right, I think I talked a little bit about this in the hidden job market video as well. Right, so they can emphasize that. So take a look at that. Okay, so very quickly. So the next element that I want to share with you is this notion of informational interviews. Informational interviews. What is informational interviews? I'm going to show you a short video, okay, about what informational interview is, and then we'll come back and talk about this.
An informational interview is an amazingly powerful tool. It can help you learn about different types of work you're interested in. And by providing inside perspective, it may even connect you to opportunities you couldn't see from the outside. So let's take a look at what informational interviewing is all about. An informational interview is not a job interview, and it's not a tricky play to get a job. If you're asking for a job and they do have one, then they'll likely start judging whether you're a good fit. And if they don't have one, then that conversation ends there. The key to a successful informational interview is curiosity. With sincere curiosity and good questions about your interviewee's life and experience, you gain insights into their successes and failures, how they got where they are, and what's important to them. Your curiosity will lead to an authentically engaged conversation, which also opens the door for the interviewee to get curious about you. The professional you're speaking with might say something like, "Wow, you're asking some really good questions." And in that transition, informational interviewing becomes even more valuable for someone looking for work. Informational interviews give you an opportunity to see what kinds of work resonate with you and help you determine what communities you would like to be a part of. In a good informational interview, the professional you speak with gets a lot out of the conversation too. They get to discuss their life and their work with someone who's curious about their experience and values their expertise. Plus, they get the pleasure of talking with someone who's genuinely interested in what they do. How do you do it well? Here are 5 tips to get you started. First, do your homework. Take some time to research LinkedIn or other online platforms to learn about the professional you're interviewing. Consider what questions you have about their life and work. The second tip is to try to meet in person. On the phone is okay, but face-to-face is best. 3, always try to buy the coffee or lunch. Your interviewee is giving you their time. Paying is a good way of showing your appreciation and beginning to create a connection. 4, ask your interviewee who else they recommend you talk with. If the interview has gone well, they may be willing to connect you to other professionals you can learn from and who might have opportunities for you. Finally, tip number 5. After the interview, send a thank you. Email is okay, but a handwritten note is even better. And if they ask you to keep them posted on your progress, do so.
Okay, I posted the link to this video in the chat box so you can refer to that again. A lot of information out there about information interviews, so I don't have time to really go through the nuts and bolts of it here. If you want, you can attend the personal branding workshop, which I'll talk a little bit more about that. All right. So, but essentially, information interviews. Remember in stage 2 where we are talking about how to find out what career options you have, and I mentioned that your main activity should be to go and talk to people. This talking to people is the informational interview process. Okay, you go out and talk to people, get information about what are opportunities there, get information about what is that job about. Okay, then from there you form your own judgment about whether the job suits you or not. I give you my own personal example. That many years ago, I was so keen on the scuba diving industry. I even went to the process of getting a scuba diving instructor certificate. Okay, and I wanted to join the scuba diving industry. So what did I do? I didn't jump straight in. I actually went and talked to a lot of people, the key players in the scuba diving industry, the instructors, as well as the companies that services the industry. Right? Talk to many people. Right? What was the outcome? The outcome was, number one, the people I talked to knew about me, and then they felt that, hey, Yuan is interested. If there's opportunity, I will tell him about it. But more importantly for me was that I found out more whether that the industry suited me or not. And in the end, even though I actually had people referring opportunities to me, I actually didn't go for it because I felt maybe the industry wasn't for me. So I didn't, and I ended up not doing this. But what I did get, right, was really forming relationships with the people I met. Okay, and they helped me uncover opportunities that were not advertised, and actually they became my own recruiter network. So this informational interview process is actually very, very powerful. So I urge you all to go and try it. Okay, so that's informational interview. All right. So hopefully, I think that answers the other question is, is it easy to find out problems that each organization is facing? Informational interview can be a way for you to find out what the problems are companies facing with. Now, obviously, you do it in such a way that is not accusing the other company, the other person that you're talking to. Say, hey, your company got problem, why like that, like that, like that? No, right? So maybe you couch the questions about, asking him, currently the industry is not doing so well. What are the challenges you are facing right now, and how do you think it needs to be solved and all that? So then the person will tell you all about this, and he tell you his role and tell you, what are the things that needs to be done and all that. So there's some insights there. Okay, right? So that's a very brief snippet about how you can do information interviews or what is the benefit. All right, so let's talk about networking. Now, this again, networking workshop, it can be another 3-hour or 1-day workshop, so I can't go into detail of this, right? But essentially, there are a few things you can focus on as far as networking is concerned, all right? Obviously, you want to make sure that you connect up with people that can help you. So it's whether it's your friends, colleagues, people in a company that you're looking at, people in the role that you're interested in, as well as industry peers. Okay, so do your relationship building. But a few key things about networking we all should be conscious of. Okay, what are these? Right? What are the priorities when you're building your network? Focus on building relationships. Focus on trust. Okay, it is not about getting a job. It is about getting more information, building trust, getting more information. Okay, it is about you creating awareness amongst other people of who you are, what you like to do, what you're interested in. Okay. When you're talking to people in the network, try and find something in common. That's why friends, colleagues, alumni, all those you have something in common. Those are the people that is very easy for you to connect up to. Okay. Like I mentioned earlier, do not ask for a job. Right? Don't go up to one person and say, "Hey, I want to connect up with you because I want you to tell me whether there are any jobs in your company." Straight away, the person is not going to talk to you. Trust you me. I know that if somebody came to me with that particular statement or that objective, I'm not going to connect up with that person. Okay, so very important. Huh? Then the other thing is adding value. Okay, when you're building a relationship with someone, you obviously also want to be in a position to help that person. So you're adding value to them. Okay, you're adding value to them. Then obviously, when you're building network, always be prepared. Know who the person you're connecting up with. Okay, why do you want to connect up with that person? When you go out and talk to that person, let's say informational interview stage, right? What are you going to talk to him about? Okay, so I spent the last few minutes talking about what career switchers need to do, right? All those items you see there. Now I want to address the elephant in the room again. There are a couple of elephants in this room, right? So this is another big elephant, which I think someone asked me that question. Okay, it is about preparing for interviews. What are the things that we need to understand as a career switcher? So here, it is about understanding, okay, what are the potential concerns that employers have about career switches? Can you type into the chat box for me and tell me, what do you think employers are worried about when they come and see you as a career switcher? Okay, lack of commitment, bad habits could be. Any others? Age, very good. Difficult to manage. Oh wow, okay. Lack of skills related to the job. You are taking his job as a short term. New learning skills. Okay, you have to learn new things. Can a person do the job? No experience. Are you able to do the work? Suitability, right? So it's fit. All right. So essentially, you hit the nail on the head. Okay. So essentially, employer concerns for career switchers is really can be classified into the following: whether that person has relevant skills and experience. Okay. Whether the person has relevant skills and experience, whether he's able to adapt to a new environment because he came from a different environment, essentially, right? Can he fit in with my colleagues? Can he fit in with the boss? Maybe sometimes the boss is even younger than him. Okay, can he fit in with the culture? Right? Did he have any issues in the previous workplace? That's why he has to quickly switch to this new place. Okay, salary expectations. Okay, especially if you are older. All right, and longevity. Like somebody mentioned, how long will the person stay? Right? Just allows how long will the person stay. So let's deal with this. Let's try and deal with all these issues. Let's start with these four: relevance, ability to adapt, and how you fit in with colleagues and more. Really, the best ways to address this is to show evidence. Right? Show evidence of what you have done in previous jobs or previous careers where you were able to do this. Okay, so for example, skills, right? Show evidence that you either have the transferable skill, or you are undergoing training, or you have done training, or you have volunteered for experiential skills. You show evidence of that. Okay, show evidence in the past career where you have been put in a new situation, you were able to adapt. Okay, show evidence that you were put into a new team. When you went into a new team, how you quickly adapted to the new team, or whether you had experience with a younger boss and how did you work with the younger boss. Okay, show evidence. Okay, so that is the best way. Next one, salary expectations. Now here, when I say setting expectations, it's not the employer's expectation. It's your expectations. Firstly, because you are doing a career switch, right? So you have to take a step back first before you even talk about salary, before you even go to the interview, or before you even contact employers. When you do your research about all the market rate, the value and all that, you have to manage your own expectation and say, what is the market rate for that particular role I'm going for? Okay, that's one. Can you accept that rate? Because sometimes the role that you're interested in, the salary may be lower than what you were paid before. Can you accept it? I cannot tell you whether it's yes or no. It's up to you. Okay. The other thing that you need to set expectations within yourself is your own value. Your own value. How do you calculate your own value? Is how you can help that person, how you can help the company. Okay, if you have the set of skills and experience that is able to help 100% the organization you're going for, wow, you great fit. The person can see that you can immediately build impact. Then obviously, the salary he's probably willing to pay you because you become value. You become an asset, not a liability. Okay, so that is the key thing you need to understand. All right, if you don't have the skill sets, you don't have the experience, then you have to ask yourself this: can I get training? Can I get exposure? Right? Or if you can't and you still cannot get, then maybe you have to think about, maybe that's industry is one step too far away. Maybe that box 4 is too far away. Maybe I go for 2 and 3 first as an interim step before I go into box 4. Okay, so pivoting, instead of jumping straight there, you pivot to either box 2 or 3. Okay, so you have to set your own expectations. Are we okay so far? All right, so I know salary is a big topic amongst a lot of you. All right, but it's at the end of the day, it's about how we manage our own internal expectations of what salary we should be paid. Okay, that is the first step before we talk to other people. Okay, longevity, right? That question about how long that person will stay. But it's not only about how long that person will stay. Yeah? It is because at the end of the day, the concerns here is what, right? Are you downgrading yourself, especially for the senior people? Are you downgrading yourself just, that to come to this job, and then once you find a job that is in the same level as your previous job, you're going to run away? Okay, so that's longevity. Or are you at an age where your runway is very limited? In other words, for example, if let's say you're my age, I'm 60. If I join a company now, the company probably say, oh, you only have 5 years to contribute to this company. Okay, that could be their concern about longevity. Okay, so how do we address this? Well, the first thing I will encourage all of you who are concerned about this, right, is to do this. You got to do your legwork to find the company that is suitable for you. Now, if you are above 40 and you want to do a career switch, this becomes a lot more important. But I would encourage anyone who is looking at a new job or a new career to do this in any case. Okay? Identify the company that suits you. So once you identify the company, you got to look at why this company excites me, how does it relate to me, and it depends on what? The company culture, the work environment, whether they have people who are above 40 common, or whether they have a habit of taking in people who have limited prior experience but they provide training and all that. You have to look for it. Okay, you have to dig deep and find out whether that culture suits you or not. That's the first step. Part of this process, you have to then ask yourself, okay, I've identified company A. All right, for example, I think last week somebody mentioned Google is still the top preferred company in Singapore for, I think, the 3rd year running, right? So if you are keen on joining Google, you like the culture, you like the work environment because Google is very diversified and all that, then you have to ask yourself, how can I help Google? What value do I bring to Google's table, right? So what problems do I solve for Google? Okay, remember, Google has got lots of different businesses and different infrastructure, right? So it's not just about IT and all that. They have finance, they have sales, they have web, all sorts of things. So you have to dig and dissect and say which part of the company fits you best with your profile and your interest and your ability to solve their problem. So you have to dig deep and find out and dig more information about the company and how it suits you. So that is the first big step. Okay, so hopefully no, this I'm not putting you guys off, hopefully, but because there's a lot of effort in this, you have to do this. Okay, so once you know the company, you say, oh, the company accepts people of my background. When you go in, a lot of the issues that are up there will probably not be there. Okay, or it's very easily solvable. Now, the other thing that you need to do after this is really to show how committed you are. Okay, how you do this, various ways, but usually I like to say, provide evidence. Did you have a similar situation in your past experience where you were put in a very awkward situation, but you went through your difficulties and you're committed to it and you stayed a course? Okay, give the example, show the commitment, show that person you are a person of integrity. Okay, give examples of that, right? The other thing that you need to emphasize if you are in that group, that the issues, is then to impress upon the people that if they hire you, if they hire you, okay, what benefit do you bring to them? Now, let's say, for example, you are above 50, okay, what benefit will you bring to the table for someone your age to a younger team? What do you guys think? If you're above a certain age group, what would benefit would you give to a company which has a lot of younger people, or maybe the team is younger? Maturity is one, okay, but what does maturity bring? Stability. What does that bring to the table? Experience. How does that help? You got to think about it. How does that help? See issues in the balanced perspective. How does that help the company? Right? You got to think about it in this way. So it's not about you. You got experience, you got stability, but so what? How do you use that to help that company? Right? So maybe you can say that, I am able to provide insight. Gary says insight into certain things. I am able to, maybe help the team run in a more efficient way. I'm able to guide certain, maybe the newbies, right, who have difficulty adjusting to work, right? Because I've been working for 30 years, I know what are the things to look out for, right? More good end-to-end perspective helps. You are able to see big picture. Yeah, right. So you got to look at in that way. So it's not just about, oh, I got experience. Oh, I can bring stability. How does that help the company? So what is the benefit of the company when they bring you on board? So really, in essence, is how you become a bigger asset than a liability. That's the thing. Now, this idea of work-life balance. This is an interesting one because I know a lot of the more senior people or more mature workers, when they change, they always say, oh, I want better work-life balance because I don't want the stress and all that. Okay. You have that reason. It's very true, very valid. But you got to say it in a very particular way that doesn't come across in a negative way to the person in front of you. Right? So, first thing again, understand whether the company has people of that profile. Secondly, you can present to the person and say, the interviewer or the company, and say, I'm at a stage of life where I want to work in an area which, for example, I can help younger people do the things that I've done before. Right? I feel more satisfaction because I've done all that the previous things already. I'm no longer I'm not motivated by that. Okay, I see your company, I like the culture in your company, and I think you're doing great things. I just want to be part of that picture. Okay, so you can couch it in that way. Okay, rather than say, oh, I just want to take it easy. No, that is a very negative way already. Okay, so culture in a way that says, relate it back to what the company is good at and how you see yourself fitting into that company. Okay, so really at the end, it is about how you make sure whatever asset you are an asset far outweigh the liability. Okay, yes, you are of a certain age group. Yes, you are maybe 3, 4, 5 years you're going to retire, but you are still bringing value to the table. That is the key thing. All right. Now, all else, one last final consideration I think you should make when you are in that position. Is there a possibility for you and the company consider alternative work arrangements. Now, how this fits your idea, it has to depend on your priorities and your lifestyle. Okay, I know a lot of us, when they start looking for jobs and new careers, first thing they say, I must have full-time job. I cannot be on contract, blah, blah, blah. If you just fix yourself in that, you limit your possibilities, you limit your choices. Can you consider other options? Because right now, to be frank, most companies now, when they hire people, they hire on contract already, 2 years, 1 year, whatever. So that becomes an industry standard. So if you are saying, I don't want contract, you are cutting yourself out from the majority of the companies. Okay? So you got to look at whether the possibilities of alternative work arrangements could be things like maybe working with them on a project basis, maybe temporary, or maybe that's the way it should, because it fits your priority, it fits your lifestyle. It could be working as a consultant for them, right? They pay you on a consulting basis. Or like me, do become an entrepreneur, but doing it in a way that I am able to work with the companies to provide my expertise, to provide my services. Okay. And for me personally, it worked very well. This new career that I have, because it fits in with my lifestyle, it fits in my priorities. Right. When I started on this journey, I was 53. 53. Okay. So now I'm 61. This year I'll be 61. Okay, so at that time I decided I need to refocus my priorities, my lifestyle, and I found that on this path it fitted what I wanted to do. Okay, so hopefully that sort of helps you to address the concerns that employers may have of for career switches. So how do we then prepare ourselves for interviews? So knowing all the concerns that they have and how you can potentially address those. So let's start preparing. Okay, now a lot of what I'm going to share with you now is relevant to just general interview preparation. But for the sake of today's workshop, which is about career switches, I'm going to angle it towards career switching. Okay, so but it can be applied to in general preparation. So here again, understand the company and the company's expectations. Okay, that's the first thing, right? Okay, so how can you help the company? I'm repeating myself again. I hope you understand this point. Okay. Anticipate probable questions, prepare the answer. So some of the career concerns about career switches, right? Those things there, prepare the answers. Just today, I think I read someone who used ChatGPT, the AI. I don't know if you heard of ChatGPT, to tell them generate a list of possible interview questions for this job and all that. Then they generate and help me answer all these questions. If you want, you can do that, but I suggest you don't just solely rely on ChatGPT to do this for you, right? Put in your own words, okay? Know your strengths. We've gone through the exercise in the second section, okay? Practice in front of the mirror. Don't go in and sort of wing it, okay? Practice how you're going to deliver answers to the questions that you anticipate, okay? And obviously, you need to know your value, your salaries, expectations, and what you can command in the marketplace. Okay, so important. All right. Then when you're talking, all right, use a STAR method. Okay, you all should know the STAR method, right? Situation, task, action, and results. Google it. Is there how you do this? The STAR method in answering questions. Okay. Illustrate how you solve problems by giving examples. So when the interview asks you, how did you do this? Give examples, right? Make it relevant examples. Show how your old skills can be used in your current setting. If you are, let's say, above 40, you've got certain experiences in a different industry, different role, but you feel that those experiences can bring it here. Show it, talk about it, give examples. Demonstrate the willingness to learn. Okay, how you demonstrate this? Again, you can show examples, but at the same time, it's about your sincerity. Because especially if when you are doing your company research, right, or in your networking, you already build a relationship with the other party, then that shouldn't be an issue. Okay, so a lot of legwork was done before this already. Okay, so all this presupposes that it is not about cold call, apply to job portal, then they call you up and for that, because that one is very cold. That one, they don't know you, you don't know them. Okay, what I'm asking you to do, put in the effort to go and what? Get to know the company, know the people, develop your network. So when it comes to this stage, much of the hurdle can be overcome because they know you. All right. Whew. Wow, so many things I want to say, but got limited time. But anyway, so let's summarize what I just talked about in the last 50 minutes. Okay, so here we know what career we want to switch into, but it's a question of how we do this. Okay, so be proactive. It is not about just applying to job portals. That doesn't work anymore. Okay, you got to develop your own support network. Okay, and in that network, you got to show in your personal branding, you got to show how you help people, and you got to create awareness about the things that you want to do, the new story. Okay, and you just got to prepare. It's no two ways about it. A lot of effort in preparing. Okay, creating awareness about your new story. I just want to add a touch to this. When I was embarking on my career coaching experiences, one of the first things I did was really going to my network and telling people, hey, I'm embarking on this new path. Okay, I'm really excited. Okay, and these are the things that I'm thinking of doing. And I'm going to offer my services, FOC, for the first 10 people. Yeah, just so that not only can I practice, but at the same time, I just want to help these people just to get my motivation, my juices flowing. I'm telling people what I'm wanting to do. I'm showing people that I'm willing to take the extra step to do it. This is within my network. Okay? And that has helped a lot. Now, what are the red flags at this stage? Don't rely on just applying to job portals. Okay? Job portals mean what? Those jobs that are advertised. Those jobs that are advertised, there was one question recently, just now in the chat box. How do I overcome the challenge that other people who are more relevant skills that they would I can sort of be better than those people with more relevant skills? If you just apply to job portals, sad to say, you will never be better than them. Right? Because employers being risk averse, they will just go for people they see, especially the employers don't know you, right? They will just choose, oh, okay, this fellow has got more relevant skills. They fulfill at least 70% of my requirements. I'll call them for interview. If you don't fulfill 70% of their requirements, at least they're not going to call you up for interview. So that is a traditional job search route, which is advertising, advertised jobs. So put the effort, develop your network, go after the hidden job market, talk to people, get your personal branding out there so that people know who you are, what you can do. They get to know you as a person, you as a problem solver. Okay? So it's not a cold call anymore when they consider you next time. Know what your limits are, what your constraints are. You must know this. Okay? This is related to the expectations part. Okay, whether you are willing to accept a salary, whether you are willing to sacrifice the time to go for training, whether you're willing to spend the effort to do this. Know your constraints, know your limits. All right. Don't just focus on yourself. Okay. This is not a time to say I'm good at this, I'm expert at this, people should be hiring me. No. This is a time where you need to project yourself out and say, okay, how can I help the other party? What can I bring to the table to the other party? That should be your focus. So I'm going to sort of summarize today, okay? Very quickly summarize everything that I've just mentioned, okay? So that we can round off today, because there's another portion which maybe some of you may be interested in, is to how to get the link to the results, to the video. Okay, so summary, spend the last two and a bit hours talking about this particular topic, right? So the first portion is why we change careers, okay? I basically highlighted that career change should be all these elements that you're looking at, and therefore the reasons for making a career change should be strong reasons for you to put in the effort to make a career change. Okay, So if it's anything outside of these reasons, maybe changing a job is better. Okay. And then here, so for this particular section, it's really about whether consider the real options or real issues and consider all the options on the table. Okay? Don't get stuck in a negative spiral, but at the end, make sure you do something. Don't just sit on your butt. Okay. Second portion, you've decided you want to change, but you're not sure what you want to change into. So the focus here is about options, identify options. And we talked about two methods here, the vault method and the blue sky method. Okay, so the end result here is really really getting a few things, information about options, possible options, a list, what you need to do, what transferable skills you can bring to the table, what you need to learn. Okay, what are the potential and what are the career values that you need. All right, at the end of the day, you need to understand what are the gaps involved, because this gap will determine how much effort and energy you need to put in to go from point A to point B. Okay. This is also the portion where you need to start looking at your expectations. Expectations about salary, about the effort put in, about the risk involved in making either jumping to box 4 or 2 and 3. Okay, you have to set the expectation for yourself. So this portion is focusing on knowing yourself, but also talking to people, gathering information, building relationships. Because the building relationship part will come much more stronger when you go into the outreach part. Okay. Red flags here. Don't overanalyze, but don't be too narrow in your choices. Try and experiment as much as possible. Try the things that you're thinking of. Talking to people, voluntary, trying it out. Don't do it alone. Okay. Involve yourself with your network, with your people, with your family. So important. How to do this? Two aspects here. I've already mentioned this. Okay. Risk adversity, hidden market. Okay. What do we need to do? These are all the elements you need to be considering. Right. But overall, at the end of the day, you want to be an asset and not a risk. And the best way to do this is to present yourself as a problem solver. Okay. We talked a bit about the concerns that employers have for career switches. So here is really about showing evidence. It's really about doing your legwork, whether the company is right for you. Okay. It is about knowing what your market value is to the table. All right. It is about being prepared to answer questions relating to your age, if that's the key. But when you're doing that, you got to show commitment, evidence of commitment, and you show that you are a bigger asset when they hire you. All right. If all else fails, talk about what are alternative arrangements that you can have, work arrangements. All right. So here in this portion, it's really about being more active, going out, developing your network, telling people what you can do, telling people about what you intend to do, being prepared in your networking and your interviews. All right. You don't want to do all this. You don't want to go to your traditional route, right? You need to know what your limits are, your constraints are. All right. Don't focus on yourself, because this is the time where you are telling people how you can help them. It's not how good you are, but it's how you can use your experience to help the other people. Now, I just want to sort of make sure that you understand this, because, really at the end of the day, when you're doing a career switch, the whole notion is that there are different possibilities for you. You have different versions of yourself. Okay. So here it is about going out, conducting experiments. And here you're talking about, trying out new things, talking to people, managing your own expectations, getting support. Okay. When you're connecting with people, expanding your connections, all right, it is really about what? Adding value, building relationships, getting support, right? Here you start building your own personal brand. Okay. And then when you're building your personal brand, all right, you're telling a new story, right? You are getting people, you're trying to convince people that you're serious about this new path. Okay. How you convince people? Show them that you're actually doing it. Okay. How you motivate yourself? Visualize yourself in that new job or that new career. All right. Okay. I'm very conscious of time. Now it is 4:26. I've got another portion to do before we round up. So maybe I think I've answered all the questions that was there on the chart. So if it's okay with you, so I would just want you to sort of help me with this next portion, which is really basically filling up the the feedback form. All right. So for those of you who are first time in my session, the next part is really about how you get hold of the video link. I'm going to give you a way to get the video for this workshop. But at the same time, if you are interested, you can tell me. I can tell you how we can continue to work together if you are interested in working with me together. Okay, so that will be after filling up this portion. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes to do this. So at the end of 5 minutes, hopefully that's enough time for you to sort of fill this up. Then we can round off the whole workshop itself. Those of you who have been to my workshops before, and the last part is basically the same thing I do every month. All right. So if you are going off, then by all means, I hope that everything is okay for you. Okay, there's still about 50 plus people here, so I guess you want to listen to the last part, which is fine, which is great. Now, I just also want to highlight here the future sessions here, right? You register for the sessions in the same way you register for this particular topic. Okay, so, but the point to note, and in May, the 16th May is a live session and it's limited to only 30 people, if I'm not mistaken. So I think the registration should be open end of the month or whatever. Right, so that's a live full day session. Then the rest of it, the 26th of May and 30th of June, is actually a webinar, just like what you're doing today. Okay, so let's move on to this portion where we talk about how you can get hold of the workshop videos. Okay, so basically here, what I need you to do is to fill this up. Okay, let me just put, okay, the link is in the chat box. What this does is that first of all, you have to give me your email address. All right, then I will send the link to you through a newsletter. This newsletter, I'll only do it once a month. Okay, so if you don't want to subscribe to the newsletter, you can always unsubscribe later. Okay, so I leave it up to you. But I need your permission to send you the video link. Okay, so that's why I need to collect this. Okay, so the form is in the chat box, the link to the chat box itself. So today's video, like I mentioned, I will edit out the Q&A. Right, so it's basically about the content that we talked about. Okay, so I hope to be able to send you the video maybe before the end of April. That means before the end of next week, because I've got a few other things I need to consider. All right, okay, so that's the video link itself. Now, I've always been asked, how do we get in touch with you and all that? So one best way is really to connect up with me on LinkedIn. Okay, so my LIMYW. All right, so you can connect up with me on that. Right? Or the other way is really to go into my Facebook group, okay? Or you can go into my YouTube channel where I will upload the workshop videos. But the videos I upload there would not, like for example, today's video, I will not upload there immediately. I will only upload there maybe about 3 to 4 weeks after you guys have received the link. So that, so you went through the email, you will receive the latest one. Now, whatever uploaded will be after that. Okay. Now, the workshops in that video will be the latest versions of the workshop because I always do the same topics. So when the new workshop comes, I will upload the topics to that YouTube channel itself. So take a look at that if you want. All right. Now, many people have also asked me whether they can consider doing something. So I've actually developed an online course for this particular topic, supercharge your career confidence and making a career switch. Okay, so this one is if you want to sign up for it, it's basically an e-course. Okay, so there is this is the link to sort of do that, and that course is really about at the end of the day, there's a 30-day money get back guarantee. So if you're not happy with the course, by all means, no questions asked, I will give you back the money. Okay, so but this is up to you. Okay, this is up to you. So let me just paste this into the box itself if you want to do this. Okay, I just saw a question there which I will address after all this. So Edward, if you don't mind, I'll do this. Okay, so the next one here is really about those of you who are interested in working with me as part of a coaching package. Here I do three basically packages to help clients. So hidden job market, career redesign, or job application accelerator. So if you want, you can go to my website up there, lifeworkconsulting.com. Take a look at that, and then you can contact me. Okay. So then the other bit is, many a time people have asked me whether what does it take to become a career coach. So if you're interested in getting an international certification to become a career coach, by all means you write to me as well. Okay, so the difference for my coaching course with other coaching courses is that my classes are very small, maximum 6 people, but most of my business is actually one-on-one. I have a lot of students who come to me on one-on-one. They say they want to be a career coach, so I do personalized coaching for training for that as well. Okay, so basically this is my last slide. Okay, I really want to round this off by sort of emphasizing 2 parts here. One, obviously, is the proactive. You know, I mentioned earlier on, all this career switching and all that takes a lot of effort. As you can see, I didn't have time to tell you everything, and yet I ran out of time. Okay, so there's a lot of things to go through, right? But the underlying principle here is that you must make the effort. But the good thing here is that you understand this. There are many different versions of our careers. It's not just one career, all right? It's a lifetime of careers, right? But you need to be the driver of your own change. You cannot rely on other people. If you want to make a switch, you want to make a switch that suits you, that is matching what you really want to do, you have to make the effort. You have to be the driver. Okay, so that's my basic message. I realize it's 4:45 now, so I hope that my apologies for rushing through a lot of these things, because there's just so much that I want to share, but the limited time that. But I hope that after over 2.5 hours, you'll get at least some insight, and your degree of confidence actually embarking on the next step is at least higher than where you were before. Because even though there's a lot of things to do, but it's down to your effort, and hopefully the pointers I've given to you helps you. Okay, all right. Any other questions? Okay, if not, then I'd like to thank you so much for your time here today. I hope the little tidbits I gave to you, it gives you some idea as to what you can do and what you should not be doing. All right. Maybe if you have time, I hope to connect up with you maybe in the next workshop, which is live, or at least in the future workshop, or maybe connect up with you on LinkedIn. All right. If you've got any questions after today's workshop, by all means, email me. I'd be happy to try and help you as much as I can. Okay, informally, don't worry about it. All right. I think it's always been my pleasure to help people like yourselves, job seekers, people who are concerned. So hopefully, I've helped in my small way for your own career process. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you all.